FNCS might be cooked, as people say. So I'll go over in this video what K-Dog thinks, as well as obviously my opinions on this. I think this would be a great video right before FNCS. Hope y'all enjoy. Well, we got K-Dog talk about how FNCS Grand Finals already ruined. Now, I love when K-Dog makes videos like this. And now, FNCS not actually is ruined. That's not the case. However, there's some big names that we're going to talk about in this video, which I'm actually pretty excited about to hear. K-Dog always has some good takes, so go subscribe to K-Dog. I'll put him in the description. And I like making these videos because I like to add extra stuff to them. So, hope y'all enjoy it. Let's go.
This team will not place top 5. He has struggled so much recently, I don't think he can do it.
So now, look, we're already saying clix is not going to get top 5. I don't think so. I think Batman Higgs, I'm saying Batman Booga. Higgs and Yamzo, I think, are already like at this high place enough. I think maybe if they get too comfortable, they might do not as good. But I think they're getting top 3.
Off the bat, I think I just have to fully disagree with this team. The only real tournament that Clix has been struggling in recently was, of course, his group stage. We've already seen a lot of pros be very vocal about
the top 10 isn't bad.
So difficult because there's just so much unpredictability in the groups. Since there is just a lot of lower caliber players, we have to remember that Clix is literally coming off of winning the last divisional cup of the season.
That's true as well. Like, he just came off of a win beating peterbot. Like, I'm not going to, like, put peterbot on his pedestal or whatever, but if we be honest, look, if we look at the leaderboard, how crazy this actually is. Like, we had Pollo, Acorn, and Agers in 3rd, which they won last FNCS. Then we have Ritual, Cold, and peterbot, which they've been winning last, like, a lot. So, or peterbot winning a lot at least. So, seeing Clix, Higgs, and Yamzo in 1st in this Divisional 1 shows so much potential for them as a trio. My personal opinion.
Peterbot's 12 Cash Cup in a row win streak. If you take a look at their placements from just this season,
let me know what you think in the comments.
Second, 4th, 3rd, and a 1st.
It's pretty insane.
Average placement in stat lobby finals from this season at a 2.4. Clix's trio to me is one of only 3 teams on
crazy
right
images
now
to
that
use.
I feel like has real grand finals winning potential.
I think so
I'm
too.
gonna have to disagree with this take. If Surge is removed from Grands, credit to BloodX, we will almost certainly have 70-player half and halves like fall skirmish days. Everyone will just camp, making Grands the easiest to play of all time.
Look, I think Surge is the best thing they can do. I don't know if, I mean, okay, so this is my mindset on this, because I could be completely just talking out of my patukis, but like, look, if they remove Surge, then that means everyone's going to be end zone, then it's just going to be a heal off. There's no point of wanting this continuous heal off, you know what I mean? I think Surge, it makes it so you have to have skill to be able to tag on these players. Now, with having Surge, there is times where people cheat. Damn. Wow, what is... Need to go see a doctor. But, like, that happens at times. However, there is times where Surge, like, no one's actually, like, teaming together as pros, and they're simply just playing. You know what I mean? So, I think Surge, personally, is something that needs to add. Like, they added Siphon, which everyone was talking about. I think Siphon is what made competitive a bit more fun to watch. No, it's not Siphon for shield, but it's Siphon for white health, which white health is very important. So, I think, personally, Surge is the best thing they can do to make sure we're not seeing heal-offs. Because, let's be honest, do you rather want to watch a fight that is just full heal-off at end zone, or do you want to watch, like, let's say, example, World Cup of Booga actually fighting them instead of trying to pop a medkit? You know what I mean? Like, watching a fight is so much better than watching someone pop a med kit 20 times. You know what I mean?
No,
that's my personal thought.
Just has to be completely wrong. If there was no Storm Surge in the game, do you know how stacked and how laggy these lobbies would be?
That too.
Every single game would just go to heal off. There would be so much randomness.
Yep.
It wouldn't be how much skill a certain trio has. It would
Thank
be
you.
how many heals they can carry.
It's like I just said that.
It would be the easiest Grands of all time to play. I think it would be easier for the worst caliber players since they don't have to get Surge tags or anything. There really wouldn't be any skill to this. I think this is a terrible idea to just completely remove Surge all in general.
W rage bait though from that one guy.
This game that I feel like needs to stay in it. Doesn't need to be reworked 100%. We'll talk about that even more later on with the whole like Surge trading.
Epic Games better not listen to the other people saying remove Surge. Epic Games, do not remove that. Don't be dumb, please. Holy crap!
Right now, and if pros should be getting banned for doing something like this, or if this is on Epic Games to make a change, but I think it would just be absolutely insane.
Okay, what they're doing is crazy, but the only way they can really get in trouble is if there's proof of them cheating, because with this you can tell. Well, you can't really tell because all the builds look similar. You know what I mean? this is interesting because I talked about. I mean, I literally just went Cam because it was a trio versus a trio, and they were peaking too long. That's how we were able to prove before that Cam was cheating, allegedly, of course. But if you watch the clips, it's pretty obvious. But with this, unless there's proof of them like peeking their head more than they need to, they pop the heals after they don't pop as many heals, and then they get more damage. Then obviously that's trading, and you realistically maybe should think twice about that. But if they're just getting tags but actually healing and not knowing the other people, then that's a little different, I would think.
Pros should be getting banned for doing something like this, or if this is on Epic.
I think this is just a strategy.
But I think it would just be absolutely insane for them to completely.
But I think there's a difference between strategy and teaming.
Move Surge altogether,
or letting people get tags.
Just 3 days out from grand finals. This next one is very interesting to me. It says Ferdoxy will qualify for grands and contest Vino, ruining his FNCS. Now the first part about Ferdoxy qualifying for grands, I think is 100% a possibility. They literally just won the opens today. They are probably going to be far and away one of the better teams in that set lobby finals.
Makes sense.
The part that I am really interested about in this is what is Ferdoxy actually going to do if he's able to qualify for grands? Is he just going to go back to Mass Meadows? And if he does decide to do that, does that mean that Vino is just going to leave the drop spot to go back to the mountain?
That's a good point.
If he does that, then where does Mr. Savage, Vidil, and Rezon go?
They're cooked. I think, dude, this is the thing as well. I love that pros say this, or mainly Kanata, I feel like, says this the most, is like, they think about themselves first. You know what I mean? Like, Vino's not going to think about Mr. Savage, so Mr. Savage might just get cooked. You know what I mean? But that's the fun of it. You know what I mean?
Ferdoxy trio ends up qualifying, and even if they end up qualifying,
all for themselves.
Would Vino rather contest Ferdoxy at Mass or contest Mr. Savage at Mountain? I really don't know.
It'll probably contest Mr. Savage. Let's be honest.
I feel like both Mr. Savage's trio and Vino's trio kind of just have to be hoping that Ferdoxy is not going to be qualifying for grands right now. I tried to do some research to say if Ferdoxy has said anything about him potentially not going Mass in grands, and I wasn't able to find anything. He is landing there in the last chance qualifier finals though, so EU could get really spicy very soon. Muzz is the second best player on the region, and only Peter is above him. Now this is another.
I mean, that's not a bad take.
I'm gonna have to disagree with. I think you can make a real argument, and probably it is just a fact that Muzz is the second best solo player on NA. Just based off
that'd be smarter. Yeah, saying he's like one of the best solo players.
But I think it is pretty agreed upon that the second best player on all of NA is either Cold, Poyo, or Agers. I think a lot of people would lean towards Cold in that discussion as well.
I would say that or Poyo. I think Poyo is one of like the top players that no one talks about. You know what I mean? Like, there's no glaze when I say this. If you think it's glaze, then you're glazing me at that point. But simply, I think that like Poyo is in that contender of like being where peterbot's at. Cold around the same thing. I think there's just a couple players like on that same level. You know what I mean?
I think Muzz does have a discussion to be a.
But Muzz is one of the best solo players. I will say that he is very, very good as a solo player.
Top 5 fragger on NA, but I don't think there is really any world where you can call him the current second best player on NA. Thomas HD will finish top 5 and qualify for LAN.
Wow.
And get the most damage in Grand since Drum Gun. Alright, so for the actual prediction part about Thomas HD, I haven't even made my predictions yet, so I can't say if I agree or disagree with that take. I think it is 100% possible that they qualify for LAN this season. The hot take that I wanted to kind of agree with, and I could really see where you're coming from in this, is the fact where you say that he will finish with the most damage in grants because of the drum gun. I think that honestly is a real possibility. We already know that we usually see him at the top of most damage leaderboards in general, just because of how insane his aim actually is. I'm not 100% sure what this trio's actual surge plan is going into grands yet, but I think that this is a hot take that I kind of want to like half believe in. Peter doesn't get top 2. Nerves will get to Ritual after what happened last grands, and they games whilst both Clix's team, Acorn's team, or Kanata's team are being consistent.
You know what? That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Because, dude, Ritual sold heavy last season. You know what I mean? And like, that's just pointing out the obvious. Like, I'm not saying, oh, I could do better. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Ritual completely sold. It was pretty obvious. So I'm curious if it's gonna get in Ritual's head.
No, I do think I have.
Which I will say, by the way, that like Ritual knows that as soon as the season ends, he's not like going to be in that squad. Like, they're gonna pick up Poyo. The only reason that they're not playing with Poyo right now is the fact that they're locked in for the whatever it's called, the LAN event.
I have to agree with the part of you saying that the nerfs could potentially get to Ritual. Undeniably, one of the players with the most amount of pressure on him in this whole entire Grand Finals throughout either NA or EU. Whenever you are playing with two players on the caliber of Cold and peterbot, and especially peterbot, and your expectation is either winning or people say that you failed. Like Ritual went from a player that would have been ecstatic with a top 2 in Grand Finals, would have been happy with just already being qualified for LAN, but now that he is playing with the best player in the entire world and arguably a top 3 player in the entire world, his whole mindset has had to have changed now, and it's win or bust for that trio. I think also the added pressure of the whole entire community basically flaming you anytime you make a mistake is always going to be
true as well. Like, I'm not saying Ritual is a bad player, but in the caliber on the team that he's on, I really feel like, I guess K-Dog has said it pretty well, like, he just has this extra pressure. But I will say he definitely did sell last season. I'm giving it a buck.
As a community, we should all try to show Ritual some more support this Grand Finals. There is probably going to be some moments where he doesn't look like the best player in the entire world. We have to remember that that is not his role on the trio. His role on the trio is to play support, to maximize the potential of peterbot and Cold. And if he can do that, then that would be considered a successful Grands for him. Acorn won't get.
He probably knows that.
The trio has looked shaky as of late, but the big determining factor is that the good teams around their drop spot for this Grants. Also, if everyone is surge trading like crazy, they might have a few deaths to serve.
Good point. Good point. I really think, though, when it comes to, like, Grands itself, the hot take, maybe even a conspiracy theory, I feel like Epic Games lets them know not to do anything that crazy because Grands is such a viewed thing that I don't think people are going to try and pull stuff like that. And if they did, I'm assuming they get banned pretty quickly, unless it's someone like Cam.
I mean, have you been watching the last couple of tournaments or even just any tournament in general? Acorn's team is one of the main accused teams of surge trading. I think anybody is going to be fine because of the surge trading issue. It is definitely going to be Acorn's trio. I wouldn't necessarily say
they're going to do good.
Shaky as of late either.
That's
These
funny.
guys' only 2 placements in the Cash Cups that they played was a 2nd and a 3rd place.
That's pretty good.
They didn't look like super crazy in their actual group stage that they played in until they ended up winning the very final game. But I made the mistake of doubting Acorn's trio last Grand Finals, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. I think they are a top 2 team on NA right now.
I think so too.
My hot take is that Bolt's trio will have a good first day, but will dud the second day, just making the top 10. They are overrated and not coordinated.
Whoa. I feel like that's forced hate.
Now, this is a take that's very interesting to me because I have seen a lot of people rating Kanata's trio very highly. I feel like a lot of people are just automatically penciling them into that 4th place spot. And I don't know if this is just because of their performance last season, but I feel like I am one of the few people that is not just ready to call them the 4th best team on NA.
I think Kanata's going to be top 5. I think. Just simply because when we know Kanata, like, if you know Kanata, like, if you're watching this, you know Kanata. Like, keep it a buck. I think Kanata is definitely getting top 5. He usually gets in these top 5s. Like, that's just Kanata. Like, he has won before, granted. Like, he's won FNCS. But, I mean, he was with he with Acorn or Agers? I think he was with Agers. Yeah, he was with Agers. So, it's like, he's played with one of the best people, and he is very, very good. So, I think he's getting top 5. Top 4, I could see that for sure. I can't see a top 2, though. Just because Pollo's team, just because peterbot's team, clix. I don't think he's going to get past, like, top 4, but it's possible. That's great.
I haven't really
Hopefully y'all don't hear that.
Anything too crazy from these guys. I know that they were able to win game 1 in their group, but in the only Cash Cup that they played, they finished in 7th place, and they really haven't won any eval games either. I don't think we can say that, like, the potential on this team is overrated, but I think a lot of people are just being very high on this trio compared to
I think it makes sense though.
That we've already seen do better and do more in a longer time period than them. I think that a 4th place is still very possible for this trio. I just don't know if that is where I want to put them at. Not trying to glaze Peter, but he runs through the lobby like it's a pub match. I can see him winning with over 400 points.
Yeah, that's very possible. Savage will get top 3, but the haters will say he's going to get carried. I don't think he's getting top 3. I think maybe top 10, but if we look at Mr. Savage in, like, his past, I just don't think he's getting, like, Maybe he gets like top 7. I don't see it further, man. I really don't. I'd love to be proven wrong, but like top 7.
And the second one was Mr. Savage will top 3, but the haters will say that he was getting carried. So the first one, I don't think he's going to win by 400 points. I think peterbot is probably going to be my grand finals winning prediction, but I think it is still going to be a close grand finals, and I still think that there is a world where peterbot does not win this grands. And then for the second take about Mr. Savage getting top 3, I think if there is any world where Mr. Savage's trio does finish top 3, there is no way that Mr. Savage can get carried to that third place. He is going to be having to play like one of the best players on that entire trio, one of the best IGLs and tarpers in the entire game, if he wants to pull off a top 3 on the hardest region in the entire world. With all respect to Vidil and Rezon, I don't think they are the caliber of players that can just pull off a top 3 as a duo.
Well, I see what he means. That makes sense.
Came back. I love the role that he is currently in with tarping an endgame, and his ability to find refreshes has been so impressive to me. I think if they do pull off a top 3, there is no way that the narrative is going to be that Mr. Savage got carried, because I don't think it is going to be possible for him to get carried to a top 3. Bucky will top 5 this FNCS.
Honestly, bro, I think he top 10s in that top 10 area. Top 5 would be so dope. But, like, if you actually look at Bucky, like, look, I'm actually a big Bucky fan. You know what I mean? He's gotten so much better, and it's simply because he's just been playing 12 hours a day. Like, he's streaming so much. Like, when you're in the competitive scene, the more you play, obviously, it's just the better you get.
Now, this seems to be one of the more, like, hot takes that I've seen more people starting to come up with over the past, like, week and a half, really. I think Bucky's trio has been one of the teams that has been really slowly climbing the tiers of trios on NA. I think when they first formed, this was more of a team that I could see finishing around that 20th range. I think that there is a real possibility that they could pull off a top 10.
That's what I'm saying. I should have dab you up through the screen, bro.
In their entire group. They won in one of the most stacked eval cups that we have seen in a while.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Going to be able to top 5? No, I don't think a top 5 is really like in the realm of possibilities for this trio right now.
By the way, with that eval cup that they won with, if you were curious, because some people might say like in that eval cup that they weren't playing against good players, that was the same lobby with not only peterbot in it, but also cheaters in it.
Do I even necessarily think that
they won with that?
Qualify for LAN this season? Probably not. I think that this trio, though, and their fan base should be so happy if they're able to pull off a top 10. We have to remember, at the end of the day, this is a double controller trio going into grand finals, and none of these 3 players really have the best grand finals placements, even over the past, like, year and a half at this point. I think there is just a lot more experience and better players in this grand finals. But hey, we all know Bucky's the underdog at the end of the day. I hope that he's able to use this as some motivation to prove me
He'll definitely get top 10.
Top 10 is possible.
100%.
Yes. Do I think they're going to get top 5? No, I honestly really don't right now.
I think it's possible.
Another hot take about Bucky, it says Bucky is one of the best IGLs in NA. Only duo controller team to top 10 since 2022.
I think, honestly, this isn't a bad take. As glazed as the sentence may be, I think this genuinely makes sense. He always picks up underrated people. Like when he had Craze before, Craze is now a very, very good player. But that's only because Bucky showed him some spotlight, and then he was able to get some, get a better team and stuff like that. That worked for him. So now Bucky he's always played with Okis, but Okis has always been a very good player. If you look at his stats, he's been a very good player. And who he's playing with as of right now, his other trio mate, like this just shows that like Bucky knows good teams, and on top of that, yes, the only controller duo top 10 since 2022. Like there's not any controller players anymore that are genuinely good. You know what I mean? So, or I guess I shouldn't say genuinely good, that are placing so high like they are.
I'm not gonna lie, I think we are just kind of starting to get a little bit crazy. Recency bias is kind of a hell of a drug. And this is like no disrespect to Bucky or his trio or anything either. I think they are one of the best looking teams as of late. But if we're saying Bucky is one of the best IGLs on NA based off of an eval cup and then their performance in like FNCS groups, then I think we are just getting a little bit too far ahead of ourselves right now. I'm here for a Bucky comeback though. If there is any trio that I want to see prove me wrong, it is 100%.
We're seeing 2023 Bucky.
These guys. Pigstar Medemus with the buff on their drop spot will get a top 3. And reminder
That's not a
that this
bad
is their
statement.
second ever grand finals. So if you don't know, yes, Pump Power did get a buff where they now get 4 extra dill bits, I'm pretty sure. This team did quite literally just get 5th place in last grand finals, which like he said was their first ever grands. So you would kind of just have to assume that they're only going to be improving since then. These guys are also the last Cash Cup winners of the season. I honestly don't even think that this is like that super crazy of a take. I think that it is going to be very difficult for them to pull up a top 3 because there is, just like I said earlier, so many good teams on EU right now. But I have been saying this for a while. This is the future of EU. This trio right here with all 3 of these combinations of players, I don't see a world where they will be splitting up for a while. I think this is 100% a potential land qualifying team, and this could be a very similar story to what we saw with Chap and Teeny last season, where I'm pretty sure they finished like second
last
year
in
their first ever 2 grand finals. I am very excited to see where this trio goes now. Not insanely hot take, but I think Venya, Pixie, and Marius are easily the best team on EU right now.
That is a hot take.
I think this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about there just being so many good teams on EU right now that I don't think there is really like one far and away better team than everybody else. I think if I had to make my personal prediction for who I think is the best trio on EU, I think I would probably have to go with Queasy, Swizzy, and Murstache. Venya's trio has looked insane in things like Eval Cups recently. The group stages, they looked really good. And in most of the divisional cups, they were playing pretty well as well. But I think that there was a real debate that Queasy was even the best trio last season when they finished 4th place in grand finals while being tested by a whole other trio. So if you're gonna tell me now that Queasy Uncon is somehow not the best team in the world, I think the only trios that I would really listen to that argument for is the team that won FNCS last season of Vico, Vino, and Flixie, just because of how good their fragging power is. And I think there might be some potential conflict in grand finals, as I do see Venya, Pixie, and Marius playing high ground so much, and we know that especially in a grand finals, Queasy's whole motto is take height, don't die. So we could see some conflict between these 2 trios, giving a team like Vico, Vino, and Flixie more room to just frag out on the middle and low ground layers, or even a more consistent team like Camiseti and Hari to do super good as well. It's going to be full of surge trading and a little bit boring to watch if they don't change anything.
So like, that's the thing about the surge trading. Like it's boring to watch. You know, I think that makes a lot of sense. But what can Epic Games really do? You know what I mean? Like, I can see why people want Surge removed, but they simply just can't remove Surge. That's not how... That can't work like that. But, I mean, like, the whole towering up and tagging thing could be a little unfortunate. So, I don't know what they're going to do. But Epic Games does realize this. I'm curious what they're going to do.
Now, my opinion on this right now is I think that there is a real possibility that Grands is going to be a little bit boring to watch if they keep this exact same surge trading meta that we are currently in. I think that the end games will still be as hype as ever, but the
100%.
early and mid games for the teams that are especially not contested, I don't really know what...
Hasn't this always been a thing, though? Like, it just seems like people are starting to pick something to complain about now, because... I don't know, because I've never seen this as, like, a complain about thing. Like this is usually what happens. Like usually all that's hyped up is the end game. You know what I mean? That's what always gets clipped. It's the end game. It's not really the beginning game. You know what I mean?
The broadcast is even going to be talking about half the time. I don't even know what
they just yap. That's why we they just yap. That's the thing. Like they just yap for a while. How does Fortnite even fix the search rating issue before Grands? They don't. Yeah. Is about to be one of the worst metas of all time if nothing gets done.
Necessarily, Fortnite could exactly change. Maybe if they tweet something out saying like they're going to start implementing some potential bans or warnings on their account for the teams that are just clearly surge trading, which there is a lot of them, then maybe this...
But how clear is clear? Because they unbanned Cam after a day. Pure day. Which I guess, what are you going to call that, a warning? You know what I mean? But that was like 2 whole trios. I don't know. I don't know. I think this is... The search trading thing is going to be interesting. Because if they start doing warnings and bans, like, there's going to be so much drama attached to that. Because you have to really, really prove it. Because there's going to be some folks that are doing it that aren't actually search trading, but they're actually getting tags, but they're going to be, you know, locked into that category.
scare people a little bit more to not surge trade as much. But that is kind of just the meta that we are currently in, and I think there needs to be a meta change for this to really improve. I think I like this take a lot right here. It says surge will be horrendously high throughout the whole tournament, so that this grand finals will mark a great turning point and competitive, as storm surge will be reworked as a whole.
Great point. Great point. Because, yeah, it's going to be horrendously high, which is why people do these surge towers. You know what I mean? Like, people will have to do these strategies because of how many people are still alive. You know what I mean? And if we want to make this point, maybe the Fortnite map is too big. A lot of people talk about that all the time. Maybe the Fortnite map is too large. Maybe if they make it a little bit smaller, there could be some more fights. Maybe not as much loot. Or maybe just throw some more chests at locations and make the map a bit smaller. That's my thought.
This is a possibility of
make the map a bit smaller.
Could see happen if the trading does stay as bad as it currently is right now. Epic Games is going to be forced to rework something to try to improve this for the future seasons. What could they actually even try to change? I have literally no clue. But I mean, hey, that's why it is a good thing I'm not employed to make those types of decisions. But I do like your point here, saying that this could be a turning point in competitive, and there is a real possibility that Storm Surge gets reworked as a whole. Every single tier 1 team surge trading should be banned for teaming.
I actually kind of like this because, like, a lot of people may think differently, but, like, yeah, I think they should be banned longer. I don't think it should be a warning. I think it should, just like how clix got banned for exposing a stream sniper, which that shouldn't have been a thing. We got banned from, I don't know if it was 2 FNCSs or 1 final, one of them. That should be the same thing. They should be banned from the next FNCS. They should really hold up on their rules.
Now, this is a very interesting one that I have seen some people's opinion be really passionate about. I think the thing about this is, peterbot really said it best. Fortnite is not going to do anything about it.
Top Pro is doing it because they ain't banning anyone. Fantabulous point. Like, all the pros are doing it, so they can't just ban all the pros. You know what I mean? Like, the pros are the reason that these grand finals are a thing. Like, yes, people will watch the grand finals, but I'm telling you, the views would be cut 75%, maybe even 80% if peterbot, Cold, Kanata, Clix, if all those people were not playing, barely anyone's watching competitive. You know what I mean?
Since all of the top pros are doing it, if this was a thing where there's only like 1 or 2 trios doing it, maybe I could see them making an example out of somebody. But you really
exactly. Like, I brought up the example. If they made an example off of clix, even though he's trying to show a stream sniper, they of course banned him. However, if you see how many people are surge trading, they can't ban all of those pros. That's gonna lose a lot of money on them more than the pros itself.
Can't make an example out of all of the top 8 trios on all of NA.
Exactly,
because that would be super bad for the viewership, super bad for the competitive players in general. I think it would make a big mark and show that Fortnite really does not tolerate cheating at all.
That would make a big mark, but it'd be too detrimental for the game. From how much hype Fortnite has right now, for them to try and take their chances to die down the game would be disgusting. They'd kill their game.
But if we're just being real here, Fortnite is a business at the end of the day.
They're
trying to get as many eyes on their product as possible. And if all of their top players are banned for teaming, then that really doesn't set the best look in the public image for Fortnite either. Could you imagine the headlines for Fortnite if everyone was talking about how basically every single top pro in the world was just banned for teaming? That is not the public image that Fortnite wants. So I just don't think anything is going to happen to these pros that are surge trading right now. Other than that, though, I feel like we got to hear a lot of different opinions in today's video. Let me know what you guys think about every single one of these takes that we went over. Remember, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. As we
big W's to K-Dog. That was a fantastic video. Look, I'm gonna read the comments in my video. Of course, if you comment something stupid, I'm just not gonna read it. But if you want to be civil, comment down below your thoughts on the takes I said, as well as K-Dog's video. Thank y'all so much for showing up. God bless. Jesus loves y'all. Fantastic day. I'll see y'all in the next.